Is it working okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just nicely.
Can you see me?
Can I see you?
Oh, good, sure.
I can see
Everything's working, except me.
We have 24 questions.
24.
Yeah.
I will do my best to answer them.
Hello David, my name is Maarten and I am the teacher of Group 8B. The kids came up with some questions for you and we are looking forward to your answers.
Hello, Class 8B. Looking forward to answering all your questions. Have a happy day.
Hello David, my name is Thomas. What was the most scary thing in the World War?
Possibly in the Ardennes at night, when it was very, very cold and we were in summer outfits and we couldn't sleep. And you had then times to think, because you had nothing else to do. So you started to think what might happen. But me being me, I said, when I started off, that nothing is going to happen to me during this war. I'm going to come out with all my fingers, all my toes, my eyesight and everything.
So probably to answer that question from Thomas, the most scary moment for you in the war was probably in the Ardennes when you had time to think at night when you couldn't go to sleep.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Hello David, I'm Flora and I have a question for you. If you had experienced the war again, would you do something different than the last time?
Yes, definitely.
What would you do different?
Take more precautions and realise that war is death.
And there were a few times when you were...
A very close call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So to answer Flora's question, if you had to experience the war again, the thing that you'd do differently you would take more precautions.
Many more precautions, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah and I have a question for you. Did you know what you were going to do when you went to France from out England?
Yes, we did. We knew. We trained for 12 months
on different beaches.
On different beaches, different boats, and how to cope with all different variety of experiences. And it all went very well on the day.
So the answer to Sarah's question is that you did know what was expected of you, but you didn't know where you were going to go, did you? You knew you were going to a beach somewhere, and you knew your duties once you got there.
Yeah, yeah. We travelled during the night. We got there 5 o'clock in the morning, and we went to shore at 6:30.
Hello David, my name is Avia and I have a question for you. What is the most important thing you've learned in the Second World War?
Keep calm and collected. Don't try to do things that you don't know anything about. Anything you don't know, leave alone for those that are experienced in that particular whatever.
Yeah, it's because of course you were very young, a young man, and you were asked to do a certain role, and you think that as you went into the war, you learnt very quickly to keep your thoughts collected, keep your head together, and be calm.
Oh, be calm, definitely. Most important.
Hello, my name is Subha and I have a question for you. How did you feel when you saw so many injured and dead people on D-Day?
Very sad, very sad. Bear in mind that they were all, not people, but young boys of average age 19. And I sort of wondered what the parents would think, but the mothers particularly, when they got the bad news. There were so many.
And of course, a lot of those young men had come thousands of miles to take part in the war from Canada. So they were very young Canadian boys who you knew their mothers were never going to see them again.
No.
Hello, my name is Kees and my question for you is, did you have good protection of warm clothes during the winter?
No. We were in summer clothing and it was very inadequate, very.
Just talk a little bit more, if you don't mind, to elaborate how difficult it was wearing your summer outfits and shoes and 2 pairs of socks that you had.
Yes,
and what were the conditions like in the Ardennes?
The temperature was 22 below.
Yep.
We had 6 foot of snow. Everywhere we went was ice cold. You couldn't touch a thing. If you got into your vehicle, you had to have gloves or some protection on your hands. It was so cold, it would burn your hands. It was hell on earth, to be honest. It was.
And you didn't have any gloves, did you?
I didn't have any gloves, no. I had some sort of woolly protection that I put on. Because I was up every night, all night, running the vehicles, because otherwise they'd all frozen up.
And it was so cold that you actually, you and your colleagues took to wrapping yourselves in ground sheets, didn't you?
Anything. Yeah, it was bitter.
Hello, I'm Olivia, and I have a question for you. Do you still have physical or mental pain from the war?
No.
No.
None at all.
And would you regard yourself as one of the lucky ones, David?
Yes.
Because lots of young boys, young men your age came from the war and had to carry mental and physical.
War is a mind game, and if you can't cope up top, it's very sad. You fall apart. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You don't want to do what you're doing, but you just, it's one of those very sad things that happens to particularly young lads.
Yeah, and there was actually somebody quite close in your unit, a flight lieutenant, who struggled mentally, didn't he?
Yeah.
What happened to that flight lieutenant when you realised that he didn't cope with those sights and sounds and smells?
He got transferred back to England. He lost it completely.
Yeah.
He was asking us to do ridiculous things.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous things.
Yeah.
So the CO got him posted back home, and we never saw him again.
Hello David, I am Timo, and my question is, did you lose any friends during the war?
One.
Would you like to tell us how that happened?
A little bit on his own fault. We were on the beach. We landed early in the morning, this was lunchtime, and we were just off the beach on the grass verge that goes all the way around. And he was very curious as to what was going on. So we stood on top of a 3-ton vehicle. Need I say any more?
So I will just...
Sniper got him within 3 seconds, 12. He didn't last a minute. He got shot right through the head. Curiosity killed the cat.
And Chalky, your friend who was shot, he'd been told, as you'd all been told, not to go on top of vehicles, not to make yourself...
Keep as low as you can.
Keep as low as you can, not to make yourself a target.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of snipers in the area for a long time, weren't there?
Oh yes, yes.
Hi, I am Hal, and I heard a bomb fence 5 meters away from you, and it didn't explode. So my question for you is, what went through your minds at that moment?
Only that someone was looking after us.
Well, when you saw the bomb coming towards you, you thought, this is it, like most people probably would think. And then the bomb landed, it didn't explode, and then you opened your eyes again, and you and the few people who were stood in the same group. Yes,
I said to all my friends, there's someone looking after us. We've no need to worry anymore. And we all survived and we all came back without a scratch. It's really unbelievable. Unbelievable it was, honestly.
Hello David, I am Milan, and I have a question for you. At the start of DDay, you saw a lot of ships and planes. What went through your mind at that moment?
So he's talking about the Armada, when you were in a landing craft that was right at the front of the Armada. There were other landing craft to the side of you, both sides. So I know when the Armada first revealed itself to you properly was when daylight came up and you saw all the ships around you and to the back of you, the Great Armada. You'd seen planes going over your head practically from probably about 10 or 11 o'clock at night the night before.
Midnight, yeah.
Yeah. So what went through your mind at that moment when the Armada revealed itself?
There's no way we can lose this battle. No way can we lose. And we were comforted by it.
Yeah, it gave you a great sense of security, didn't it, seeing that? And I think you've told me also that you felt a great deal of pride in what you could see.
Oh yes, pride, definitely. So we could turn out a combined effort with the Yanks and whoever else,
your allies,
apart from ourselves, that we could get together and do what we were doing.
Proud to be part of that coalition of not just British troops.
Actually leading the whole shebang in.
Yeah.
We were the first to shore.
Yeah. So pride in that joint effort by the Canadians, the Americans, the British, and all the other Commonwealth nations that took part.
Marvellous.
And there were Dutch vessels as part of that Armada, weren't there, David?
Yeah.
Hello, David. I am Maaike. I have heard you had to write your last will and testament. How did you feel doing that?
I thought it was a big joke. Because I said, this is an absolute waste of time because I am coming back. What am I doing all this for?
Yeah.
No one's going to hurt me. I'm going to come back. So I did it, but reluctantly.
Yeah, and I think I also remember you telling me that you thought, well, I don't actually have too much either, so I'll sign everything over.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Hi David, my name is Rosemarijn and I have a question for you. What was the first thing you were thinking of to do right after the war?
So your first job after the war was at the company that you'd left to sign up?
I felt I had to go back because they paid me, or they made my wages up to what I was earning as a civilian until it balanced out, and then they put an amount of money in every week for me. And I must tell you, when I came out, I had £1,000 off.
Right.
Which is an item.
Yeah.
And I felt that I was...
You were obligated, weren't you?
That's the word, obligated.
Yes.
Yeah. But nobody wanted me there. I was surplus to requirements, so I stayed, I think, about 10 days.
And then
And I said, thank you very much. And I went to work with my father-in-law.
Delivering the cloth?
Delivering coats and to M&S all over the country.
Okay, because your father-in-law had a factory, didn't he?
Yeah, clothing
factory.
Hello David, my name is Biel and I have a question for you. How did you feel when you didn't sleep for 48 hours before D-Day?
No different. We were so used to, training, we trained for 12 months, and we were so used to going without sleep, without food, without water, all part of the training. And this we did for 12 months on nearly every beach around the country. And it was just another part of the service.
Yeah, so in summary...
It was routine.
So in summary of that, you, throughout your training, you'd had lots of sleep deprivation and you'd become accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm you. My question for you is, you were on the beach for 3 months. Where did you sleep and shower yourself?
We showered in the sea.
Yes?
Yeah, we were up to our waist every day, all day. You know, assisting people in and boats in and whatever. So water was never a problem. Even though it was seawater, we had special soap that we could use for seawater.
Yeah.
Sleep, we didn't sleep for 2 weeks. We went without sleep for 2 weeks.
And when you did finally get to sleep, where did you sleep on the beach?
I slept in a trench, a small trench.
So you were given a shovel. The beach units were given a shovel, and you were asked to dig yourself a slit trench.
Yeah, we had shovels and spades. And
sure.
All sorts.
But I know that you told me that you would have rogue waves every so often would come and destroy what you were sleeping in.
Yeah, yeah.
So your slit trench, your hammock, your cosy bed.
Filled up with sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just a case of, okay, take another.
That's it. But when they had a high tide, it was very difficult.
Hey David, my name is Vesper and this is my question. Why did you volunteer to join the war?
We all thought it was the right thing to do. Then when all your mates join up, what are you going to do? Sit back and say hallelujah? You volunteer with them and you go. And you fight for your king and your country. And most of all for democracy. So that we could live a life that we were used to before the war started.
Hello David, my name is Alec. Why did you want to join the Royal Air Force?
First and foremost for the uniform, and secondly the food, the third reason...
You'd been in the cadets, hadn't you?
I'd been in the ATC.
Which was the Air Training Corps.
Air Training Corps, with a view to joining the RAF.
Yeah. So as a teenager...
It was junior service, but the outfit was much better. The food was supposed to be better. And all lies.
So just to summarise, that you'd spent a couple of years as a cadet with the Air Training Corps.
Yeah.
So they are the precursors to the RAF. And then you thought, they've got a nicer uniform and I'm going to get better food.
That's right.
Hello, my name is Koen and my question for you is, did you know you were going to write history?
Had you any idea that this was going to be historic?
Yes.
Now we both know why, because you'd had a briefing from the CO leading up to D-Day.
Yes.
Tell us about what he said during that speech.
Well, the main topic was because I was Jewish. And did I still want to go? Because of if I got captured, who knows what would happen to me. And I tried to explain to him that I thought I ought to be there more than him because of the persecution to the Jews. I said, your lot hasn't been persecuted, my lot has. I should be going and not you.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to go.
So the first part of that conversation was he offered you the chance to stay at home, which you declined.
Yes.
And then the second part of that conversation, he said, you are going to make history. And you didn't, as a teenager, or as a 20-year-old, you didn't particularly believe that, did you, at the moment?
No, we didn't know. We didn't know. We accepted it with honour and pride, but we didn't know what we were in it for.
Yeah, sure.
Because it was a very difficult day, the first day of the invasion. Very difficult. Lost a lot of good lads that day.
Hello, my name is Dan. My question is, the war was terrible, but did you have time to make fun and jokes with your friends?
Yes, definitely. That was the whole point, to let the war run its course, but carry on living and enjoy life while you can, because you didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring.
Yeah. And in writing my book about you, we've covered your war career in great detail. So I know there were a few things where you got, a few times when you got up to mischief. So let's just give them a couple of examples, shall we? So let's talk about, what did you and your friends do when you were supposed to be doing going on a long run at the air race course when the grass was this high?
We hid behind the grass.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind telling the story, we
all changed in the billets.
Yes.
And we all had already discussed what we were going to do and when we would do it. And we all lined up and we all had big smiles on our faces.
Yep.
And we all set out in our running gear, because it was a special PT outfit.
Yep.
And we ran through the door and we all turned left, where everybody else turned right, and we went behind all that very tall grass in the racecourse where we were billeted.
Yeah.
Because it was never cut during the war.
Okay, there we go. So that was one moment when you had great laughter.
Yeah.
And then another occasion, let's talk, the landing craft. You were used to going on and off the landing craft, but every time you were on them, you get visitors from the army would be coming, and they would be young men, their first time on the landing craft and feeling very queasy.
Yeah.
So they didn't cope with the motion on top of the water very well. And you took the opportunity to hang up some greasy papers from tins of bacon, right?
Yeah.
So
bacon paper.
So tell us in your own, so if you wouldn't mind explaining in your own words, what was that?
It was a giggle. We used to walk around the landing craft, and we used to have, strange enough, we used to get a lot of bacon.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know. And it was always wrapped in grease paper.
Yeah, so they were tins, weren't they? And the bacon was inside grease paper.
That was in a tin.
Yes.
So we used to open the tin, and we used to take all the greasy paper, and we used to stick it all around the boat, all around, head high. And so when anybody came and walked and stepped back away from the waves,
yeah,
they walk onto all the smelly bacon paper. And they were feeling very, very itchy at the time, and that just brought it all up. So
the poor seasick lads, that smell of these rancid bacon papers.
Yeah, used to make it, we were terrible, weren't we? But we had a good laugh.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, lovely.
And the greatest thing is, we used to go up to lads and say, "You can't be sick here." And they say, "Who can't?"
Just watch me.
All the Navy lads, you know, their boats were kept spotless.
Yeah.
You can't be sick here. Who can't?
Hi David, I'm Sam. I have a question for you. How was your life after the war?
So, were things easy for you come back after the war?
Very difficult. Very difficult. Very.
Yeah. And
in fact, I was very disappointed, because everywhere I said, "Well, we don't want ex-service people, thank you."
So it was very difficult for you as an ex-serviceman to find yourself a job anywhere?
Yeah, so I finished up as a driver for my father-in-law.
Yeah. And you also, because you didn't come straight back after the war, did you? You ended up leaving about, how much later was it?
18 months.
18 months, wasn't it? Yeah. So you'd spent another 18 months. So I suppose what happened, the troops who went back to Britain soon as possible, soon after the end of the war in Europe, they probably had an easier time, didn't they? So by the time you'd been discharged,
some did, majority didn't, because the majority of people did not want to employ ex-service people.
Right. Yeah.
They knew the life we'd led for, what, 4 or 5 years.
And how did that make you feel, that feeling that people weren't grateful?
Very sad.
Hello, my name is Imke. I have a question. In Holland we celebrate freedom, the 5th of May. Do they celebrate freedom in England as well?
No. No. They didn't know what war was all about at England.
Yeah.
They never invaded, never had occupation. They had rationing, that's about the 7th of it.
Yes, so obviously people in the major cities experienced some bombing campaigns during the middle of the war, but by the end of the war, they obviously didn't go to a length of hardship, or didn't experience a length of hardship like those in Europe.
No, nothing like.
No, and as a result of that, the WWII Day celebrations in the UK are somewhat lacklustre compared to those in Holland. Is that fair?
Yes, but obviously.
How have you felt going? Let me just ask a question on top of that, David. How have you felt when I've taken you back to the Netherlands and we've been welcomed by people?
Like I was going home. Just like I was going home.
Yeah.
It was so different from coming home here.
Yeah. So the last few years that we've been in the Netherlands and we've been part of those celebrations and you've had all these people thanking you. How has that made you feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, worthwhile and
yeah.
Yes. Oh yes.
Did you feel that there was a real sense of gratitude in the Netherlands?
Definitely, yes. And what I did was worthwhile at the end.
Yeah. So it's been important to you in these late years of your life to experience that from
very,
Dutch
very
people.
important. It's a big part of my life now.
Hello, I'm Lieke, and my question is, has the war changed your life?
Ah, it's a very good question, but very difficult to answer. Yes, it has changed my life because I lost 5 years of civilian life.
Yes.
And then it took me a long time to readapt when I came out of the forces. Being in a male community all the time and living on those conditions, to come home with a family is very, very difficult to
adjust yourself. Yeah, because you've told me when you came back on leave, you found it very difficult to adjust to sleeping in a soft bed and having cooked food, right?
Yeah. Oh yes.
And the peace and quiet was also strange, wasn't it?
Yes. Everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And life on camp when once the war had ended and you ended up in Britain and you were still in the army for quite some time yet, up in Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, yeah.
Wimbledon or Wimbledon. So you're up in North Yorkshire, and you were on a base there. And life on camp is still, even though you weren't at war, is still very different from civilian life, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I moved out of the billet down into the MC section.
Yeah.
And I lived down there.
You took your bed from your billet, from your bedroom, your shared bedroom, and you put your bed in the motor transport section, motorised transport, yeah? And so you were basically sleeping in a garage, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you were comfortable with that, weren't you?
Oh yes, very.
So to answer the question, did war change your life? Yes, it did.
Very much
It took probably 10 years out of your civilian life, really. It took 5 years out when you were in the forces and a good 5 years to adjust?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The thing is that we were not accepted. When we came out of the forces, we all thought that everybody was waiting for us. There'd be jobs galore, but it was just the reverse. First question, are you ex-service? Yes. Sorry, we're no vacancies. Why, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how it was. It was very difficult.
Hello David, my name is Bobby and I have a question for you. What were the reactions of the French people when you came to rescue them?
I kind of know the answer to this because you weren't allowed off the beach, were you?
No.
So you did meet French people, didn't you? Occasionally they came onto the beach offering wine and gifts and things.
Yes.
And what happened to those French people?
They got chased off very quickly.
They were told not to give you any gifts, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't really have very many interactions with actual French civilians, did you?
No, we weren't allowed to converse.
Yeah.
And they broke all the rules by coming down.
And they were grateful, weren't they? They were bringing gifts to you.
Yeah.
So the few French people that you did see, they were grateful.
Very grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. But unfortunately, you weren't allowed off the beach, were you?
Oh, you're joking.
Now, why were
we were allowed off the beach? We were allowed. The proviso was that we were in #1 uniform with highly polished boots.
Which, I'll explain, is that you were basically told you could visit the French towns if you had your dress uniform.
Yes.
But you didn't have that dress uniform, did you?
Well, if we had it wasn't safe to dress.
Yes.
Being the bottom of a kit bag, it was being wet through 100 times a day, every time the tide, came in or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, you didn't get to see and circulate amongst French people, did you?
No.
But you did. I'll just add a little bit onto that. But so when you did, you like for instance, when you were in Brussels, when you were
that's
recovering.
a long time after.
Yeah, so a long time after. But what were the Belgian people like with you?
Very, very friendly. You could not put your hand in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's taboo.
So what that means is that you weren't allowed to buy your own drinks or food. People were constantly buying it.
As soon as you sat down, are you having a meal? Are you having a drink? Waiter, it's on me.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did that make you feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Sure. Yes. Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Makes you feel that everything was worthwhile.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Away from home.
So the last time we were in Normandy, I wheeled you into a restaurant, and there were two fabulous things that happened on that night. The first time was the restaurant was full of Royal Canadian Artillery personnel from the currently serving, and they stood up and gave you an ovation, didn't they, in the restaurant? How did receiving that ovation in a restaurant spontaneously, how did that make you feel, David?
I was very embarrassed, to be honest, but thrilled to bits.
Yeah.
I was really honoured that they take that pride in what our units had done.
Absolutely. And also, there was a Dutch family that looked over and they said, we're paying for your meal. And they paid not just for your meal, but our entire party. How did that make you feel?
Marvellous. I mean, complete strangers. It's one of the nice things going back to Holland. People are marvellous. Very grateful. Because they did suffer in Holland.
Hi David, my name is Oscar. I have a question for you. Do you have a wife and kids? And did you miss them during the war?
Yeah.
Yes. Obviously.
Yeah. So you got married in 1943, in the summer of 1943, a few months before.
August.
Yep. And then, so when you were away, did you miss Nan when you were embarking, once you were on the beach on Juno?
No. Not because I didn't miss her, but I didn't have time to miss anybody.
Yeah.
Juno was a case of survival.
Yeah.
And, you know, you had to have your wits about you 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Every minute.
Yeah. And talk about how important the postal service was, David, to troops serving during the war. That was really the only way you could stay in touch, wasn't it?
The postal service was magnificent. It really was. And it's so essential. It kept the morale of everybody up all the time.
And that's because...
And especially on my birthday. We were in the Ardennes, in the forest. Ice cold, it was 22 below. And we're all huddled up round a little bit of a fire because we couldn't make a proper fire. And we heard this trump, 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 trump. And someone says, the bloody postman's here. And I said, oh, so what?
Yeah.
And so what was, it was my birthday, and they had a big cake in a tin that I got, and it was in one piece, one solid piece. Even the icing on the cake was still in one piece. And we threw the tin away, we cut the cake up, and even the officers joined in, and we had a nice big snack of birthday cake.
And so obviously you missed your wife during the war.
I'll just say the army
post.
Post,
Absolutely, yeah. So obviously I was just going back to the question that, so you missed your wife, and then receiving a birthday cake and things in the post.
Makes you miss them even more.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
You want to hug and kiss them and thank them,
yeah.
So you can't do it.
Hi, I am Silke, and my question for you is, how important is the 5th of May for you?
Very important, because then I knew that I'd survived the war, and all I had to do was wait, be patient, till I got demobbed.
And that didn't happen straight away, because you were expecting to be demobbed. You were called in for a meeting with the CO, and he said, oh, you're being stationed somewhere else. And you said, hooray, am I going home? And he said no, didn't he?
Yeah.
Now, what did he tell you at that moment? When everybody else was celebrating VE Day, and you were told you were going where? No, well, he told you it was the Far East, didn't he? Yeah. So you thought you were going to fight Japan. So at the time, the end of war in Europe carried some happiness and then some sadness that you were going to be sent.
I was very upset.
Very upset, yeah. Now, obviously, that didn't happen in the end. And so how does the 5th of May and VE Day, how does it feel for you now? Usually we're in the Netherlands. How do you feel when we're in the Netherlands for VE Day, for 5th of May?
It's a day of relief that all the effort is over, worthwhile, and that we'd achieved success, which is so important. Thank you for all your questions. I hope you enjoyed my answers. God bless. Take care.